Yes. Guten Tag. I'm very happy and honored to be here today to moderate the business panel. Partnerschaft zahlt sich auch. Partnership, it pays off, but may I add, with a few challenges. So in this panel, we'll take you to a different topic after the politics and security we've discussed here today. We will talk a bit about doing business. The business and trade relations between Germany and Israel are one of the most important pillars of this special relationship. With me in the panel, I have 4 distinguished gentlemen whom in my eyes represent and embodies a very important player that contributes to the business and trade relations. My name is Hemdat Sagi. I am the Handelsattaché, the commercial attaché at the Israeli embassy in Berlin. My mission is to help Israeli companies do business with German partners, to foster a relationship, to encourage collaborations, and basically to create more success stories, as some of which we'll hear today, between the ecosystems, the business ecosystems of Germany and Israel. I would like to share a few figures with you today about the volume of trade between Germany and Israel. In 2014, the trade volume reached a record high of $6.3 billion. However, in 2015, the trade volume reached a number of $5 billion, making Germany the 5th largest trading partner to Israel. The main sectors of export and import are machinery, chemicals, electronics, pharmaceutical, and medical device. In this panel, I would like to talk about what we can do to increase the figures, the trade figures between Germany and Israel, to generate more success stories, if that is possible, and to see what are the challenges that are still facing us in this goal. At the second part of the panel, I would also like to touch a topic which was discussed here, or will be discussed in another panel, which is the BDS, and how it affects the Israeli economy and exports to Germany. Firstly, I would like to start by asking each panelist to introduce himself and in one line describe its role in the business relations between Germany and Israel, and is because the business culture in Israel, and in general the culture in Israel, is very informal, I will address you gentlemen in your first names. So, I would like to start with you, Uwe. Please go ahead.
Yeah, the Hemdat, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Uwe Becker. I'm the deputy mayor of the city of Frankfurt and the city treasurer, and for that responsible not only for the city's money, but also for the many shareholdings that the city possesses, ranging from the Frankfurt Airport Company to this part of Frankfurt, which is possessed by Frankfurt Messe, the trade fair company, and ranges over several aspects. Besides, I'm president of the Friends of Tel Aviv University in Germany. And so there are several aspects working within the city, within the region, for a closer cooperation with also our sister city, Tel Aviv, but not only with Tel Aviv itself, but with Israel in total, and to find ways how to enhance the cooperation, the partnership, and the friendship on different levels. That's for the first entry.
Great. Maybe we can move according to the seating. Jehuda.
My name is Jehuda Fehlauer. I'm a member of the board of Bethel Industries. Beth-El is a group of 7 companies located in Israel in different sectors. The biggest one is defense. It's a group of Germans living there, roughly 1,000 people. And we are doing a lot of business with Germany and worldwide. exporting our goods to more than 100 countries. Particularly in Germany, we are doing cooperation with the Daimler Group for their truck, armored Actros, Citrus, Unimog, G-Wagon. We are doing air cleaners for MTU engines. We are cooperating with Siemens for filters for gas turbines, and there's a lot of other business sectors we are dealing in Germany.
Thank you. Lutz, please.
My name is Lutz Raettig. If I ever get it going here. Yeah, still my name is Lutz Raettig. I'm a banker, which is no surprise, I guess, to Frankfurt. One important area is I'm taking care of now is the financial services industry, particularly with regard to startups, with regard to fintechs. And in this particular case, I think Israel is playing a very important and technology leading role. And we are trying to link up, catch up, and do things jointly together in this particular area, which is of utmost importance for, I think, the financial services industry worldwide.
Thank you. And in fact, you just returned from Tel Aviv, you told me before. Good. Izzy.
Okay, my name is Izzy Tapoohi, and I run Israel Bonds International. We, as I call ourselves, we are a brokerage firm with a Jewish heart, and we sell Israeli government bonds. In the United States, we sell over 1.1 billion, and the rest of the world around 250, 300 million. And we're intending, of course, to increase that significantly. We've just started our first moves in Europe, and eventually we'll be challenging Morgan Stanley on my right here as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Good. Izzy, so let's start with you. Israel is a small country with regional and environmental challenges, yet its economy continues to outperform those of many other developed nations. How did this come about?
Yeah. So let's begin by one of the most fundamental reasons, and that is that the Israeli ability to surmount obstacles, including a struggling economy. Now, it's interesting to see the Israeli economy. If you look back, I remember making Aliyah in '79, hyperinflation there was around 400%. And if you look today over the past 2 decades, we have seen that the Israeli economy has grown by 180%. Look at our GDP, for instance. Back in 1948, it was 6.6 billion in today's current dollars. Today, it's 300 billion. And I would say that there are 3 main reasons for it. One is a disciplined fiscal and monetary policy. I know that there's a lot of talk about the fact that, how do we run the Israeli economy? Quite frankly, I think as a government, we run it extremely efficient. And you see it by the fact that today, our debt to GDP is 64.9%. I think if you remember the Maastricht Convention, you had to be at 60-40. We would be about the only 3rd country in the whole of the EU that actually could join the EU. And the rest of you would have to go to the Middle East, the way the figures are, working. Now, the historical influx of Soviet Jewry, which advanced Israel's science and knowledge-based economy. And by the way, that's a warning to Europe as well, because at the end of the day, if you don't ensure that the people that are here are being kept within Europe because they're going to feel secure enough, at the end of the day, they will come to 2 places, either the United States or Israel, and we will benefit out of it. So I think it's a warning sign to just remember that. There's no doubt that the Soviet influx made an enormous difference to the Israeli high-tech industry. And the last one is the innovative technological sector that has fueled Israel's rapid export growth. And today, as you can see, we are probably one of the most advanced development countries in the world today, and an investment worthwhile investing in. And this is why we're selling 1.1 billion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Izzy. But as resilient as the Israeli economy and successful as it is still very much exposed to global changes and possibly economic crisis. especially Israeli exporters who could be and are affected by the weakening of the euro. I would like to address then the next question to Lutz. If you can address this question coming from the banking world, from the investment banking world specifically, how do institutes like Morgan Stanley look at the global economic situation these days, and what should be done possibly to prevent another crisis or, again, weakening of the euro that can affect the Israeli economy?
If I knew...
That's high tech. You need an Israeli guy to press it there. Can somebody come and help us? That's it.
Here we go. Okay. If I really knew how to fix the world economy, I would have an interesting job, but I would probably be an entrepreneur. I think we have two very different aspects. One is, if you look back on the financial crisis, which I think partially the financial sector itself created, I think we ultimately came through it significantly stronger. Why significantly stronger? Because we had a combination of state aid, which the banking sectors in many areas needed, of different rules and regulations, most of them better than before. And I think the third thing is that the banking industry itself kind of recreated itself to some degree in shrinking rather than growing, in getting more focused on businesses, getting more focused on risk contents of the business, and so on. This is the good part of it. The other part of it, of course, is this all happened in a quite difficult environment with low growth, zero interest rates, with things like Brexit blooming. So in many ways, under difficult circumstances, we were able to maintain a reasonably course, a straight course, and at the same time made the banking system healthier than it was. Are we finished? No. But I think we are well on our way. I think one of the looming dangers may be if things go wrong here and there. I think the step towards protectionism is relatively short, and this, of course, is something which would be totally unwarranted.
Thank you. We spoke, super, we got the hang of it. We spoke before about the fact that Morgan Stanley is looking more and more into startups, innovative startups, the fintech sector. Perhaps you can tell us a bit about that. In Israel, there are 400 fintech startups, and this sector is very successful. Last month, I participated in an event at Ernst & Young in Eshbon, where 17 Israeli startups met with the banking system and insurance companies, and that, for me, proved that this sector holds a lot of potential and can generate more and more success stories. Maybe you can tell us a bit about Morgan Stanley angle in this respect.
Yeah, I was in Tel Aviv on Wednesday and toured the whole day startups in the general business area and startups in the fintech, in the financial services area. I think Israel has done a remarkable job in kind of taking the lead in the area of IT for financial services, of analyzing production chains in the financial services industry. They started out with banks. I'm sure they will find another big field in the area of insurance companies. The fact is that it is a mixture of provide the right framework, which is partially money, but it's far more important the freedom to be successful or fail and not being penalized in failing. I think a very close cooperation between young entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, and science. There's a very big component of research and development, of close cooperation with universities, and this has a domestic scale and always will have an international scale, because I think the universities in Israel are very closely linked to all kinds of international partnerships. I think we all benefit from it, but we can only continue to benefit from it if we really get involved and cooperate and try to nurture each other in order to get from products which we might think of to products that are really practical and of practical help.
Yes, and for me, it's especially interesting to assist Israeli startups that want to reach out to the German giants and the Mittelstand as well, but it's not always easy. There are great differences. First of all, in the language, a giant corporation is not as fast as a young startup. There's differences of cultures. So it's quite challenging to bring those two ecosystems together. But indeed, there's a lot of potential. So talking about startups and their challenges, I would like now to refer to Jehuda. You're not representing a startup, but in fact, you're here because you represent a successful Israeli company. I believe a few years ago you even won the prize of the best exporter in the, that was an honor given to you by the President of Israel, and I was there. And you deal with many topics. Whether it's security, whether it's food, I would like you to share with us how did you internationalize the story of your collaboration with the German market. Recently, you just established a collaboration with the Bundeswehr, and perhaps some of those tips will also help the younger startups. Maybe just a few words about the special story of your community in Zichron Yaakov.
Thank you, Hemdat. Well, I'll start with your last point first. Beth-El community in Bethel Industries was established in Israel in 1963, a bit more than 50 years ago, from a German community with the main aim to assist Israel in our little way in different areas by contributing to the security, by creating jobs, through giving helping people in need, and a few other areas. One of the enterprises we founded was Bethel Industries, which in the first steps dealt in equipping Israeli bomb shelters and safe rooms with filtration and ventilation system and blast protection. We are still doing that on a regular basis. In Israel, every home has a safe room or a bomb shelter, so we are equipping them with a breathing air, if you want so, the filtration systems and the protection to that. To the second, we started exporting 16 years ago in the year 2000, and our first footsteps were going back to Germany, and from there it became a success story to more than 100 other countries. And well, from our point of view, it was easy because we knew the German business culture and we lived in Israel, so we knew the Israeli business culture. And this is also the second topic we are going to talk about. In my opinion, business culture and business etiquette are different things. I don't think for instance, an Israeli coming to Germany and you see on him that he probably the first time wears a tie in his life, that harms business, or the other way around, that a German is visiting on a Khamsin day an Israeli base in a black suit. This is not the issue. I think the main issue is here a fundamental different understanding of public procurement processes. And I just want to give a few examples on illustrating that, what I mean. Let's try to explain to an Israeli now that in spite of giving on the federal budget of the Ministry of Defense a few hundred, if not $1 billion back to the treasury because they're not able to spend, and on the other hand, there is a planned procurement in 2019 for, let's say, the Eurospike or another program. Financial titles are not exchangeable, and if you compare that to the Israeli system, where we haven't had financial planning or approved budget planning for the past years, the multinational plan, the Tarash, and until 2019, in Germany, if this is in the budget, the chances are pretty high that it's going to be procured. In Israel, maybe Avigdor Lieberman and Shas are on alternating terms, leaving and joining the coalition. We have maybe elections in between, so all budget planning may be readjusted and needs to have constant new marketing activities or pushing. Try maybe to an Israeli that a federal minister can have more children than actually having combat helicopters. And I don't mean I mean the number of the helicopters in this case. So there are many cultural differences, and also long-lasting supply relations are typically in Germany. In Israel, it's more price bargaining for the last penny. So if you ask me for a few tips, I think one of the best ways for both sides is, number one, have written agreements. You may have later maybe even 20 interpretations what that means, but at least having something substantial established where both can refer to. Have locals which know the business culture of both sides. Maybe a third hint, use organizations which have cultural understanding, and NAFO and others have been mentioning before. There are good organizations which can bring both sides to the table and give the contact partner. So in a nutshell, that's what I would suggest in 1 minute to both sides. And that's what worked so far also for our company to a great success.
Thank you. And you mentioned a very important point, which is to get the assistance of local organizations that help do those connections between German and Israeli companies. This is part of what my mission does in the Israeli embassy, doing those exact door opening and such. And also, we have in our panel Mr. Becker, which in my eyes is a really, really important figure in this business and trade relations, because he helps our department in many, many ways in his current function. And I would like to ask you, Oved, but I can't see you. There are a few Israeli companies active in the region of Frankfurt. So there's Netafim, the drip irrigation company. There's Ahava, the cosmetics company, SodaStream as well. You are great in making those business connections. And you're actually designated to be, from 14th of July, the Bürgermeister of Frankfurt. So my question to you, how do you see your role in that sense? Do you do you have in mind some ways in which you can assist Israeli companies maybe to be more active in Frankfurt? Maybe you can give us a few words about that.
Yeah, thank you, Hemdat. I would focus on brain, infrastructure, and market to just reflect on your question, what you can do also on the municipal or the regional level to really attract companies to come here, to find all what they need, to come from the startup level to really get into the market. And I think there is Frankfurt, one of the regions with the biggest density, when I speak about brain, the biggest density of universities, of institutions from Goethe University over Max Planck Institute. So there are around 40 universities and institutions in the far Frankfurt-Rhein-Main area. And so you can make many connections in between the work that is done and coming out of the universities in Israel, if it's Tel Aviv, if it's Technion, if it's Jerusalem, and bringing together already at a very low level those who will further on build their companies. We have the Ecotech dialogue, you spoke about fintech industry. We saw in the past years that Berlin was heading a bit in the field of fintech. Of course, Berlin is a little bit lower from the cost of living, so it's probably more attractive to do the first step to Berlin from Israel, but we very often explain, and that's what I mean about the market, that you should finally go where the market is, so you need the industry, you need the market, you need the possibility that you come with the ideas where your customers are. And so it's nice probably living in Berlin, but you wouldn't fish in the desert, and so you should also go where the market is. And we've, as the city and the region, bring together market and those who come up with their companies. And Dr. Raettig is, as he said, also head of Frankfurt Main Finance, which is the platform for Frankfurt being the financial center in Europe. And that is also a very intensive and strong way of the working together of the city and of the state of Hessen, who are enhancing in the past the activities from fintech to logistics. We heard about the question of cybersecurity. That's also a big issue here from our important infrastructure. If you look at the airport, if you look at the trade industry, if we look at what we call the pharmacy in Germany, which is the industry of biochem in the west part of Frankfurt. And so we offer many platforms on the one side. We offer an infrastructure, and we are enhancing the infrastructure and telling, of course, companies that come from Israel that they find a unique infrastructure here from the way of a central position in Germany, central position in Europe, where you will find no other city where you can fly within 1 to 2 hours to every European capital and coming back, so you can do your business over the day and be home in the evening from where you come. So we bring together also at the city all the good forms of infrastructure. We enhance what the universities are doing as far as cities, the region and the state can support. And of course, we are trying to attract companies to come over here to find the innovative climate that we have in the city and in the region. And so there are many aspects where city together with the state are working on over the past years and for the future. And in my opening remarks, I also showed up what really the city and the region offer, especially for Israeli companies.
That's true, and I also can add on that I believe that German banks that are based here, Deutsche Bank and Commerzbank, can find many opportunities, for example, by establishing an R&D center in Israel. And banks like Barclays and Citibank have already established financial R&D centers in Israel with the support of the government. So here's another channel of possibly future collaboration. But Uwe, I would like to stay with you, and as I said in the beginning of the panel, the topic of the BDS, the boycott, the sanction movement, that has been very active in the US, also in Europe, of course, and has some effect on Israeli companies that are based, some of those I've mentioned in the region of Frankfurt. Maybe you can elaborate about what the municipality, the city of Frankfurt is doing against them. You're a very strong vocalist for Israel. Maybe you can say a few words about the BDS movement.
Yeah, to my mind, the BDS movement is a anti-Zionist and in its core an anti-Semitic movement around the world. The same messages that they say don't buy from, Israel, but in the same way that it was done decades ago. So you have to also openly speak about what BDS really is. I said at the beginning that a Congress like this should send the message against BDS to say not BDS but BIS, buy, invest and support. So that should be the answer given to all those, for God's sake or for whose sake ever, we as the city or as the region are not that much yet affected of the BDS movement here in the Frankfurt-Rhein-Main area. As said, there are many cooperation of Frankfurt University with Tel Aviv University. Just the Buchmann Institute for Molecular Science just went to its 5th birthday, and there are many other things that enhance it. And as far as the university is behind to oppose those trying of movements, it can work, but of course we see there's another company, SodaStream, not directly in Frankfurt, but in the far region. And you see, of course, they are affected by discussions about, but as I said, not coming from that region, as you always have to work against it and to really try to bring over the real image of Israel. And a Congress like this, placed in Frankfurt, is one spot to do it a little bit more intense.
Super, thank you. We are reaching to an end, but I would like to give our speakers another opportunity to communicate a few more messages with regards to how to enhance the collaborations, the business collaborations between Germany and Israel. And Izzy, why don't we start with you? What is your message that you want to share with potential Israel bond investors, investments?
Yeah, basically, just a few sentences on BDS. I think it's important when you read the June Bloomberg article when it says Israel boycott is failing when measured by main economic gauge, and that the article noted that 2015 was a record year for foreign investment in Israel. So just remember that with all of the noise that you hear from the BDS. I think the main message that I would like to give anyone who wants to invest in Israel bonds, and I hope that the city of Frankfurt will also invest. It's an excellent investment. I come from Australia and we say it's a damn good investment, because at the end of the day, you are investing in an economy that's dynamic, full of innovative spirit and groundbreaking entrepreneurship. So there's no doubts, this is the right investment. Forget about BDS on the way. They're going to lose this battle whether they like it or not, because we have got justice on our side and we have got the right economic conditions to ensure the continuation of the strengths of the Israeli economy.
Yeah, very quickly, two messages. One is about the bond market. The bond market worldwide is going through a kind of restructuring. That's particularly also true for government bonds. But I'm absolutely sure that we all have an interest of creating a healthier market than we had and a bigger market than we had with high liquidity. And this will help particularly government bonds as well. I think the other message is very clear. The fintech is a two-way street. There are academic institutions in Europe involved. There are academic institutions in Israel involved. The application very often is where the big banks are or where smaller niche banks are. And this is a truly multinational business. I think the Israeli fintech and startup scene is extremely well prepared because in hardly any startup would you not find somebody who went to the States to a university or to one of the very important, particularly technical IT universities in the world. So I think there's a lot of very, very fertile ground to cooperate and progress the industry.
Well, they're hinting us, and in a very Israeli way, meaning not polite. I would like to thank our speakers for coming and taking their time because they're very busy people. I would like to thank you for your contribution. Hope you enjoyed the panel and see you the rest of the day. Thank you. Dankeschön.